You know, it's funny. I'm sure you know, running a podcast, people see your clips more than they see the actual episodes.
Yeah.
Like it's actually ridiculous. Like you could post hours and hours and hours and hours of content, but it's actually like the 30-second snippets that you clip out and put, those are the ones that people remember. They never actually saw the whole hour. It's rare for when people do. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful, but it's funny. Like, it's just funny like how that works. It's way more than clips. You could have a video with like 20 views that has a clip that has 10 million views. Like it's literally like that. It doesn't matter.
And then you think the clip that goes viral or does well is going to lead to listens, and it doesn't always.
It's so weird.
Occasionally, but rarely.
You know, I think it's kind of like a career in that sense. I think all careers work that way. I think you always think something's leading somewhere, and then it leads somewhere else entirely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think everyone's just consuming things via clips these days, or at least a lot of people are.
Yeah, I think so.
Which I get it. I'm guilty of it too, so I can't get too mad.
That's the problem. That's how I know it's real. That's how I know it's complete, because most of the things I see, when I really think about it, it's like, did I watch the full thing? No, I never do. Yeah. It scares me. You know? And then like with being a musician, you're forced in. I mean, every person who creates is forced into that format. You're always like, with podcasts, it's clips. With music, it's like I have to make little snippets of my songs and advertise my music in this way to trick you into listening to the music now, rather than just hoping that you like it. I gotta like be the marketing engineer that tricks people into finding my music.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it like comedy, you have to have clips. You gotta have people do skits all the time now, because skits are like one of the ways you can stay consistent on there. It's all the ways you can stay in the public eye.
I know, because you could burn stand-up material quickly, and then if everyone sees your material, then you feel like the element of surprise is gone when they see you live. Yeah, it's just I go back and forth on this a lot, because a lot of my comedian friends hate the new way where it's like, hey, you got to do clips, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I go, dude, the old way was waiting around hoping someone sees you. Right. Now you at least have some control over your destiny, where I'm telling a lot of comedians, I've been around for a while, and it's better now. Way more people are breaking now and building their own audiences outside of the New York and LA like apparatus.
Yeah, because I guess that really is the question. Is like, is it better or is it worse? Because there's pros and cons to everything in the world, right? Like there's good ways, there's good things about it. The good things would be the fact that anybody can do anything, essentially. That's really it, which is a big plus. Yeah. And then the cons would be that anybody can do anything. It's kind of the same thing. Like you kind of have to take that for what it is. Yeah. Yeah,
you got to take it for what it is. I mean, there's always going to be shit to complain about too. I mean, comedians in the early 90s, from what someone told me once, had to mail VHS tapes to clubs all over the country.
Right. Yeah.
Now we can
send a clip.
Yeah, a clip.
And an email and an Instagram message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I know some shows that only book through their Instagram.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of
they have an email, but they got logged out of it and they never figured out the password, so they said, fuck it, just hit us up here.
Right.
You know. But yeah, I still would rather have some, at least we have one hand on the steering wheel with this, where before you didn't have any.
You've done comedy for a while, right?
Yeah, like 17 years.
So how much has it changed since like you started, like that with Instagram and social media and all that?
Tremendously. When I started 2008, MySpace was still a thing. That's how long ago that shit was.
Shout out Dane Cook.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, and yeah, you know, Dane Cook laid the groundwork in a lot of ways in the new social media world. And then Kevin Hart gave him a shout out. I heard Kevin Hart on some podcast, Industry Standup, Barry Katz, and he talked about, all right, well, Dane did the MySpace thing. I have to do something else. How do I stay connected? So he got a couple bumps in his career early. Well, he was hot right away, but then he had a few like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like he got some no's where he was like, shit, now what do I do? And coming from the world of stand-up comedy, we're all instant gratification people. Comedians all want that, like, give it to me now. So he told his agent or manager, book me at every club you could find. I don't care how shitty it is. I don't care how bad the pay is. I just want to go everywhere. And then what he did was he collected email lists at every stop. And this was before people even thought to do stuff like that. And so he was just collecting emails and emails and emails instead of just being like, follow me on Facebook or MySpace. And so
probably like 2010, like 2011.
It was even, I think it was earlier than that he was doing this.
Yeah, because I was trying to think like post Dane Cook. Dane Cook's like 2007, 2008.
It was right around, they were almost parallel. Dane kind of broke first with the MySpace stuff, and that would have been like 2000, even 2005, I want to say 2006.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was that long ago.
Because I remember when I was a good few years before I started doing stand-up, because I was like 23, I had friends who liked Dan Cook.
Yeah.
And I think they were in college, and he had that college crowd from MySpace and from Napster. He'd put audio clips on Napster, and at the end he would say, go to dancook.com if you wanted me to come to your town. But yeah, so Kevin Hart just collected all the emails, and then the next time he went to that city, he sent out an email blast because he had, like, you know, Excel spreadsheet style, and he sold out the club. And then they added dates, and then he kept selling out, and then he kept, you know, so every club he went to, the people who saw him the previous time came back again. Then they brought friends, and they were able to add shows. It's just, you build it that way. And like, there was a punk rock documentary, fuck, I forget the name of it, which goes in hand with this, where they were handing out flyers, and then one of the guys, pedestrians who took a flyer, was like, dude, it doesn't say like where the band's playing. And it's like, well, we don't have a gig yet, but when we do, we want you guys to recognize our name. So they didn't even have a gig yet, but they're handing out flyers for their band that just had, you know, some cool artwork on it.
Yeah.
And the name of the band. But like, yeah, so it's changed tremendously from that. I think there's more people doing stand-up now. Stand-up's gotten more mainstream. I was talking to a friend of mine not that long ago, and he said that, I'm not on dating apps, but he said on one of the dating apps he's on, I don't know the names, Hinge or Bumble, one of those things, not Bumble, but anyway, a lot of women will have under interest stand-up comedy. They wouldn't have had that 10 years ago or so. I'm not saying there weren't women who liked stand-up comedy, but it wouldn't have been put out there.
It's popular.
It's more popular now. TikTok's helped with that, YouTube, Netflix, but like, as far as, it's still the same old thing where it's like, you want to get good, work your ass off, and, you know, don't be afraid to take chances and hang out.
Yeah.
You know, learn, watch, go to shows, watch other comics, and then through that you kind of, you know, that's how you build the scene. And then some comics you come up with will be like, hey, let's run an open mic at this bar on this night, and then you get good at, you know, meeting people that way, and then you eventually get booked at bar showcases, and, you know, you go up the ladder.
Do you think people like realize that that's what they're getting into going into it? Do you think people usually know that? Some
people, and a lot don't.
Yeah.
Because I realize there are a lot of people that I'll see out at, or mics when I was starting out. It's like the same types of people, and I think they're great, but they probably lack a lot of drive, some of them. Because it almost feels like there are some comedians where I'm like, did you just get into this to make friends and to be part of something? Because they're not taking it seriously. They've been doing it for X amount of time, and you haven't heard a new joke in years. You know, there's comics who've been doing it for like 5 years, and I'm like, you're still doing the same jokes from year one.
Yeah, right.
You know,
yeah.
like
I've heard there's a lot of people like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I guess one of the bigger differences in Chicago comedy. When I was starting out, those comics would have gotten weeded out sooner. Where now there's more of a place for that. I don't know if it's because people have gotten nicer, which is not a bad thing. Or
like people do that like on a higher level, even like they get away with it. Okay. Yeah, there's not much you could really do except like to deny it. The public has to all say no.
Pretty much,
That's the only way. And yeah, you're probably right. It's probably spot on. It's probably just we're too accepting. We just let it happen.
Yeah.
That's probably exactly what it is.
That's
well, you know what those people really need is just a friend to take them aside. Like they need a group of. It's like an intervention. Like you actually have to just have a bunch of people sit them down.
You really do.
The only way.
And with the amount of people film, you'd think they would come across a clip of themselves. They're like, "Oh, I suck. I'm not good." You know.
Or it's like, "Damn, I don't even have anything else to clip anymore. I've ran through all the clips."
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Well, that was supposed to be the nice thing about Chicago comedy was there wasn't industry like hovering over you, so you had the creative freedom to be good. And because there's no industry, it's almost like the comics pick who's, not like we pick, but like you just see it naturally. You'll be like, oh, so-and-so has been crushing it lately. And then you hear that from one of your friends, and then when you see them, you're like, oh, fuck, they have been killing it. Good for them. This is great. And then when someone says, hey, I need another comic for some showcase down the street, any recommendations? Yeah, this guy or this girl.
You think like here as opposed to other places, it's more like word of mouth. Like it's more like the popularity. It's more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Democracy. It's more democratic. You think?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, stand-up comedy is the farthest thing from, not that you said this word, but you remind me of it. It's not a meritocracy at all. You do have to kind of become friends. That sounds bad, but it's not, because it's such a fucked up, lonely thing to do, stand-up comedy. It's just you and a microphone.
Right.
So you're going to want to make friends with the people who are starting around the same time as you.
Yeah.
And that's fun. I tell comedians all the time, new comedians I meet, I go, dude, enjoy your first year.
Yeah.
Because then you meet some people who are too ambitious, where they're like 2 years in and they're like asking, how do I get this? I'm like, don't worry about any of that shit. You're a fucking baby. This isn't, stand-up takes a while to get good at, a real long time. It's not quite like, look, music's incredibly difficult, so I'm not trying to compare the difficulty between the two, but usually someone could pick up a guitar when they're 9 years old and start figuring it out.
Yeah,
they're not going to be great, but they could start.
Usually I make the comparison. I usually say, like, it's funny because I thought about saying it. I'm like, I always say that. Is that music and comedy in that sense, like, I see comedians and I see the way that's the mindset that's built into it. And I wish more musicians thought that way at the very least. Because a lot of musicians do fall into that same thing where they play the same song. They do the same things for years and years and years. And I think the way social media is, it actually like kind of trains you to do that. Like you see these people who get popular and they just kind of do the same thing as soon as they get popular. You're just kind of told that's the way that music's supposed to work in this like subconscious way all the time. It's really what the message usually is. It's not be creative. It's like figure out something that works and then just recreate it over and over and over. Which like, if in my mind, comedy teaches you not to do that. I wish musicians thought that way more often because I don't think they do. I don't think a lot of people are trying to test themselves and push the boundaries. And so, but you're right in the sense that I think of every skill like that. Like there's always like the person that's going to pick something up and get really good at it, but you just have to work at it and get better. Like anything that it is, like you might even be really good. It's better if you're really good, but you still have to get better over time. You still have to keep working on it, or else you'll just stay at that point that you were at, where you were really good at first. You just can't be good forever. You have to like maintain it.
Well, stand-up is, you do have to maintain it.
It's incredibly unique though. Stand-up is incredibly unique. Yeah.
It humbles you. Even the best comedians could tell you a story of like, oh, I ate shit 3 weeks ago at this show, like
last night.
There's never,
and it's somebody like you respect that you think is like amazingly funny, and they just bombed yesterday. Yeah,
everyone has a story of. I know people like, oh, I saw Dave Chappelle pop in at the Comedy Store on a Thursday night and he ate shit for 25 minutes. Like, it's one of those things where I think my point about music was that like you could master an instrument before joining a band. In stand-up comedy, you could be the funniest kid in your family, the funniest kid in your friend group, high school, college, whatever. But as soon as you go to your first open mic, you're at zero. It doesn't matter that you were the funniest, whatever.
All right.
Because there's other people who are funny in ways that there's so many different kinds of funny.
Yeah.
That's where comedians annoy me because they will get pissed off or get caught in drama. It's very high school too. I remember this comic Hannah Gadsby had a special like 5 years ago. And so many comedians were like, fucking piece of shit, or they thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And the people who were angry, I remember saying to them, I'm like, dude, this special isn't for you.
Right.
This is an Australian, I think non-binary, maybe lesbian at the time, but non-binary now, comedian who's doing like dramedy. You know what I mean? It's not all stand-up. But why the fuck did you watch it?
Right. It's like getting mad at the improv people.
Yeah. To me, I equated it. I go, punk rock bands don't stop what they're doing to listen to the latest country album. They don't give a shit.
Right, they just don't even pay attention.
Yeah, and I said it's the same thing. I go, you're whatever comic I was talking to, you're rock and roll. They are flutes. So like, you know what I mean? Like there's not, they aren't going to take any fans from you, and you will never take any fans from them. Like my one buddy said it great. Marty DeRosa, a great comedian, because I got jealous about something. And he was like, dude, you getting jealous of that is like a hockey player being jealous of a basketball player. Yes, you're both athletes, but you're doing way different things, and you're going to attract different audiences. Mm-hmm. So that's where sometimes comedians need to take a page from music, and music needs to take the page from comedy of trying to be more creative and push the boundaries. Because I agree with you on music, but I think record companies fuck over musicians.
Oh, that too, right?
So badly, where it's made everything so quick. Because there are great bands out there doing original stuff, but they can't find any attention.
Yeah.
They can't find an audience. But, so, and then you have to dig, and the general public, with the way things are nowadays, with fucking, Uber Eats and, Uber, like everything comes right, DoorDash, everything comes right to your door.
Yeah.
I mean, I got friends who don't even go to the grocery stores. They order everything in, and it's like everyone's so instant gratification that nobody wants to search for great music.
Well, and like on that, you have like the whole industry plant thing where people, and I think there's a legitimacy to the claim.
Sabrina Carpenter.
All these people.
Industry plant.
Yeah, people. She's one there that claims big on. Yeah, Sabrina Carpenter.
I think she is for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a tough thing because it's like when you say that, it sounds conspiratorial, but really what it is it's like if you put a bunch of money into a person, if there was a person that was already like a little talented, they got something going on, and then you just pump money into them like a machine and you have a whole marketing scheme behind them, of course they'll get famous. And that's why you have the industry plant thing. And I think like when people say that, people just automatically assume, oh, you just think like the people just plant these people automatically. Like, they just pick these people and plant music talents into them. But it's more like it's like hawks, and they know how to find them. And they just, I can't even explain it. It's probably just some like demon mentality.
Some demon mentality knows how to
Justin
work an
Bieber.
algorithm.
I mean, they got him early.
Too early, that poor kid now looking back. But
oh
like,
my God, Justin Bieber
60s,
lately.
The Monkees were like that. Since like the 60s, they've been trying to find the next big thing, pump money into it. You don't have to write your songs. We got songs for you. Do you look the part?
I guess now more so than ever, though, it's probably like there's just such a takeover of that industry. Like it makes it so much harder to be as creative as you were in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I mean, there was this great, God, I keep referencing podcasts. I can't remember the names too, but there was this podcast, Canadian guy, History of Music, so maybe that'll help your listeners by cluing that in. And he talked about why music was really good in the 90s. And, you know, not to be one of those people that thinks one decade's better than the other, but sometimes it is. You know, I like music from the 70s and 90s better than the 80s overall, although the 80s had some hits, or some good bands. He said the CD came out, and when the CD came out, it was so cheap to make, so the profit was so good for record companies. So for a vinyl record that they would have made $5 per copy, they're now making like 17.
Oh wow!
So because the CDs when they came out, they were sold for like $19.99. They weren't cheap. Maybe $14.99 if you went to like a Walmart type place. But even Walmart wouldn't sell some of the best music. They all had like, I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if Walmart still does this, but back in the late 90s, Walmart had a whole thing where they wouldn't sell any records that were explicit lyrics. So CDs were so cheap, record companies were making such big profits off of the sales of them that it made it so that they could take more chances.
Ah, okay.
So they would sign a lot of bands that under today's guidelines would never get signed.
In the 90s?
Yes.
Okay.
It's because of the CD, because CDs were so cheap to make.
Wow.
Like pennies to make and record and all that kind of stuff. And then it made it where it's like, well, we're getting all this money coming in. What should we do? So they reinvested. And they were taking a lot of chances on bands that they would normally not take a chance. Because it was no real risk to them. The risk was low. So I'm not saying that was a good thing, but I'm just saying that's why it was what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was a good thing because a lot of artists were able to get paid. But now with streaming services, I know a lot of bands tour way more to make up for that loss of revenue, and then they get burnt out.
I feel like again how like music and comedy are sort of similar. Is like, for the longest time, you don't make money off of anything at all. I think music, though, it just never ends. You never make money off the music. You make money off the comedy eventually. Music, it just never, ever
No,
happens.
that's true. That's true. And that's where I do really feel bad for them. Unless you're the songwriter, you know, in a band, it's tough to really make money.
It's crazy.
And it's crazy.
Like streams, it doesn't exist.
Spotify pays shit.
Yeah.
Like I had some stuff on Spotify for a while.
It's like
terrible.
It's almost insulting how like nothing has ever changed over the years. Like, and Spotify's even just gotten more strict with their rules. Like, I think over the last couple years, what was the new rule? Like, you have to have over 1,000 streams on a song before they even pay you at all.
Yeah.
And their reasoning was, well, we have all these spam songs on here. How are we supposed to police this? Like, think of all the money we might save if we do something like that. Like, okay, how about all the people who make songs that aren't that popular? Like, say I have 100 songs and they're all kind of popular. Well, I'll still make money. It's like, oh, they all trickle and that adds up. Now that's non-existent. You have to get at least 1,000 streams. But all those little things
dumb.
where they're just screwing over the people who barely are getting, which is 90% of the people releasing music, like 92, 95%. They're barely, I would guess the people under 1,000 streams is about 90%. At least.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's just crazy that they can just do a rule like that, and you can just do that. You know, they're just allowed to do it, and no one can really say anything. I mean, but that's how all those things really work in the end. One thing that triggers me now that I think about it is YouTube, when they got rid of the dislike. That still upsets me to this day, and there's nothing anybody could do about it. We all just, there were people who complained, but nobody could do anything. Oh, that still upsets me because you know, when you have to look up tech videos and all these things, and you're like, damn, I need some advice how to fix my Wi-Fi router right now, and then the video doesn't help at all. And you would have known if it had dislikes. You know, the other one is the fake trailers on YouTube. Before, you always knew right away. You would hit the fake trailer, and there would be all these dislikes on it. You'd be like, this is fake. Now you have to watch the first like 30 seconds, and it's gonna fool grandma. Grandma's never gonna figure it out. You know,
that's such a great point, by the way. I've never heard anyone sell me on the dislike. Because I remember thinking like, oh yeah, they got rid of the dislike. That's fine because then it won't be mean to people or whatever. But then if you're baiting,
and there's a lot of that.
Yeah, because that's like the thing. Everyone's trying to get clickbaiting you and stuff like that to get you to, we're trying to compete with the attention of. There's so many things now.
It's crazy.
It's not like before where there was just a handful of things. Like our phones annoy us now. I feel like.
Yeah. I keep catching myself like realistically thinking like, how much time did I just spend not doing something productive and staring at my phone? Like if I was really thinking about it, how much time did I just spend? Because like how much stuff do you really retain when you're just scrolling on your phone?
Not a lot.
Not like barely anything. Like sometimes it'll be something, and the problem is I post on social media. That's what drives me nuts, is I'll always post and then I'll fall into it real quick. I'll be like, oh, let's look at a couple things. It's bad.
I know, you got to discipline.
It's all bad.
And I need more of it. I need more discipline. It's hard.
It's hard because it's like it's like a device that turned us all into crackheads, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Very true. It's, we don't allow ourselves to be bored anymore.
Yeah. You know, I read a comment last night because it was talking about like the new Google video AI and just what all this means. And it freaked me out because it was saying like, if you're nostalgic for the time before cell phones and before social media, just imagine the time before like AI takes over. Because we're at the very beginning where it's just cute little videos and cute little things. Pretty soon it'll be like you can throw on a headset and just see the movie, whatever movie you want. No one's going to want to go see movies because you just make your own movies. The movies will respond to what you like. It'll be like how your phone knows everything you like, except it'll be an AI that you can just throw on your face. And they'll put sunglasses on and the AI's there. And like and what freaked me out about it is it was saying like, if you're thinking that way now about the past, you're going to be thinking that way now in the future about right now. It's like, no, because I know they're right. We're so close.
We are so close. It's disturbing though, because I don't know too many people who are excited about any of that.
Yeah.
Very few people do I know are like, yeah, give me more AI, give me more deep
People think it's useful. People do use it.
I mean, I know they use it, clearly. But
no one's like, yeah, I want the robots to start walking around and knowing everything about me. No one's saying that.
Yeah, right. That's true. They don't realize that's what's going to happen. They're ignoring it because it's helping them cheat on a college paper or something. But like
the Tesla bot chilling in their house. Yeah, you're right.
Up.
People would use those to cheat.
I'm sure
kids bring their homework home.
No, because I know they're selling software to schools so that the schools could detect if ChatGPT wrote the paper.
And again, that's just the beginning.
It's just the fucking beginning. Though.
Yeah. Because like you could so easily write stuff with ChatGPT, and like again, you could so easily tweak it. You could so easily just write it, and then tweak it yourself, and just make it seem like you wrote it. There's so many things you could do. Like it's not that hard, and it's just crazy. Because if I was a student, that's probably the type of thing I'd be. I never did homework.
I hated homework.
I literally did homework maybe once or twice. I think of this as an accomplishment.
I did just to pass. But
I always did it at school.
I could have gotten A's, but I just would fuck off and never do that. I would do the homework in school too, like in the hallways.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Around. Yeah.
So you never did it outside of school?
Rarely, no.
Yeah, I never like wanted to take the time. Yeah, it would be like in the morning. It'd be before. It'd be during class. It would be any time, but when I'm not there, I'm thinking like this is my time. Like you guys can't do this to me.
They don't give homework now. A lot of schools don't do homework. That's being phased out. I know. I would have changed my life if they did that back in the day.
That happened.
They did, for real, a lot of schools are not. My sisters are teachers. I got kids in school, and they did tests and studies, and where it's like we took one school and gave them homework. We took another school and gave them no homework, but test them on the same stuff to see how it was doing. And the kids who didn't have homework were the better students, because they were able to go home and be fucking kids. So now they're telling teachers, just teach the subject,
That's crazy.
Give them the reading time in school. Do that. Let them, they're there for 7 fucking hours. They don't need to be doing 2 hours of homework at school. So everyone's happier for it. But it makes me mad a little bit, or jealous. It makes me jealous because I'm like, I would have changed my life. You know,
you just changed my life just giving me that information. I didn't know this was a movement taking over the world. It should be. I mean, because that's what I thought. I thought with the alternative school, that was like you go to either the high school or the alternative. If you like act up, if you're not, if you can't keep up, whatever it is, you end up at the alternative school. And they didn't do homework there. And I always thought like they get to not do homework. That's crazy. Why do they get that privilege? Like that, and it makes you, as you say that, it makes a lot of sense. It probably would make you do better. You'd actually be smarter. That I wouldn't have predicted that. I wouldn't have thought you'd actually score better if you didn't do homework. That impresses me.
Yeah, because there was less burnout. They weren't tired the next day. So they're well rested. They have the stress of homework is eliminated.
Yeah.
So while they're there for those 7 hours, they're taking in the information the teacher's teaching better, as opposed to having anxious thoughts of, oh, fuck, I didn't do that homework assignment, or I have to cram because we had a week-long project that's due tomorrow and I barely got started. Like, think of all the stress. Or it's like, shit, I have, soccer practice at 5 p.m. I get home from school at 3:45. I'll have 10 minutes to do this. We have to leave by 4:30 to get there by 5. Like, there's just a lot of extra shit going on. And these are kids. So it does, to me, it makes sense that they would do better. I almost think the companies that are eventually going to go 4 days, 3 off, because that's a movement that's going to happen sooner than later. Those companies will benefit from that too.
Why?
Because you're happier employees.
Yeah.
It's like Costco versus Sam's Club. They both do the same shit, but Costco pays their workers way better. Costco has less turnover.
Really?
People like shopping at Costco better than they like shopping at Sam's Club.
That's so funny to me. My sister was just on the phone saying to me, like, oh, I love Sam's Club. Like, Sam's Club is so great. I've been, like, it was funny because it reminded me of when or not Sam's Club, I'm sorry. She's talking about Costco.
Costco, yeah.
She's saying, I love Costco. Costco's so awesome. And it reminded me of when I discovered Sam's Club. And I thought Sam's Club was so awesome. So I thought she was just going through a phase and this is just like a cute thing. What you're telling me is that my sister is right.
She's
and that
right.
Costco is actually good.
It's awesome.
I didn't know that.
See, if all you know is Sam's Club, you're going to think it's fine. But then when you go to Costco or whatever, you're going to be like, oh, this is a whole new world opening up to me right now.
What's so different? I don't even understand.
I don't know. You could just tell when employees are happy to be where they are. They also have food that's very cheap. Like they'll sell, I'll go to Costco for dinner sometimes because I have a membership. Because you could get a slice of pizza for $1.99, and it's pretty good pizza. You could get a hot dog and a drink with free refills for $1.50. Because they want you to keep their shop all the samples. They give so many good samples. I'm sure Sam's Club gives samples too, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just, I don't know. It's just better. I've only been to Sam's Club twice, but I just remember thinking Costco's better. Here's another example. Have you ever been to In-N-Out Burger, California chain?
Yes.
I lived in LA for 3 years. In the 3 years I lived in LA, In-N-Out Burger never messed up my order. Never messed it up. And then I remember reading about which fast food restaurants paid the best. In-N-Out Burger was number one.
So it's like a work morale thing.
Yeah.
It all
I think if you're
stems from
respected more, paid a little bit better, appreciated more, you're going to do a better job.
Starbucks used to pay for people's college tuition, I thought that was a thing that they did.
That was a thing I think they were doing for a second. Yeah.
But yeah, that would make sense if you do that in places that people naturally would just be happier.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah, but that's interesting. How much do they pay there at Costco? Do you even know? Like their minimum wage?
I don't know what it is now, but I know because I had a friend who worked there about 7-8 years ago. And 7-8 years ago it was like $22 an hour, like their cashiers were making.
Wow.
Which is good.
7 years ago?
Yeah.
Holy moly. $22. It's probably like $30
And they have
now.
low turnover, which means when people get hired by them, they don't want to lose that job.
Right.
They get benefits and all sorts of other stuff like that.
Oh my God.
It makes a lot of sense that way.
Costco is awesome. That's crazy. Like $25, $30 an hour for that type of job would actually be great. Yeah. I wonder, wow. And how many, Costco's everywhere? Is it all over America?
I think it's national.
Yeah. Because I know I wonder I think Sam's Club's the same. I think they're all over the place. And they're both the same exact idea. You pay for a membership and then there's food there and then you buy in bulk and you can get all these different things. They have samples. It's the exact same. And then there's the Costco guys. That's the meme, right? Those guys are popular now. I think it's the dad and the son that say boom. I'm pretty sure that's Costco.
Is that yeah, that is. I think so.
I have very minimal knowledge.
Well, now it's making Costco look bad, those guys. But no.
Well, Costco's got something going for them. Sam's Club doesn't have that. Sam's Club needs their own meme, some child to show up there and film a video of them eating a hamburger or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works.
They need some sort of grassroots campaign.
Yeah. You know what's weird now is companies will try to make memes. I Another thing that triggers me a little bit is when I'll see these companies now, like they must hire people to do this, where they'll have like comments on social media videos that go viral, like it's Wendy's commenting something in the comment section. It's like, it's a brand pretending to be a person. Like, it's so weird to me.
It is goofy.
And it's all over the place. Like,
I had Heinz
everywhere.
Ketchup hit me up a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, because on the podcast I talked about how sometimes restaurants will do we make our ketchup in-house. And I'm like, don't. Heinz won. Just let Heinz put Heinz on your table. Heinz ketchup. That's what we want. They won. Give it up for them. They won. Then that was the clip. And then someone from Heinz saw it and then sent me a message being like, hey, we love this. Can we share this or whatever? I should have been like, send me a fucking couple cases of Heinz. I'll take some mustard too, not just the ketchup.
I would have immediately pitched a podcast sponsorship to them for sure. I
should have. Yeah.
I would have been like,
see,
not only do I want you guys to share that clip, but I've got a great deal for you.
I like them as a company, so I will endorse them. I always question whether or not I would endorse some company I didn't like just for the money. Like, would I be a sellout to that extent?
How much money do you think it would take?
Maybe.
There's probably a number. It's probably one of those things where like there's a certain
now. It wouldn't
number.
Take much. Yeah.
like if somebody offered you $10K for, let's say, a year's worth of ads, and it's a company you really don't want to sponsor. It's a $10K offer, a year's worth, and you're as poor as you are right now.
I would take it.
Yeah, there you go.
Because someone else would get that money anyway.
I would take it as well. By
yeah, you got to take it.
I'd be like, oh my God, $10,000? I would immediately be thinking of all the ways I could slowly trickle $10,000 into my spending throughout the year.
You'd be stupid not to take it, actually.
Yeah.
I think artists could be a little bit more stand on their principles back when rent was affordable in most cities.
That's true.
You know, even the most staunch, like, hell no, it's all about the art, man. I'm not going to be a sucker for consumerism. I'm like, buddy, you know you need this money right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Take the money and do something good with it then if you really want. But yeah, I would take the money.
For me to realistically pay rent with like money from art, like I've tried to think about that. How much money would it take? And it's somewhere in like the tens of thousands for a year. Like it'd have to be at least like 50,000 realistically to like live, be able to eat and also pay rent and be also like feed my animals, like these things that I think of, like, because I'm thinking there's the rent number, there's also all those other numbers that don't go into that equation, like public transit, if you ever take that, if you ever go out to eat, anything, it all adds up.
It all adds up.
Yeah, so at
Your
least
cat,
50,000.
by the way, looks so comfy right now.
You know, she's a sweetheart.
I
think of her like a little dog, kind of. Like she's so easy to work with. I think the other thing I always say about that cat is I'm blessed. I won the cat lottery. I feel like Margot's a little angel. She is comfy. She's not like Oscar. She knows how to hold her ground in the podcast studio. Oscar would be on top of you right now.
Yeah, good dog though. I liked Oscar.
It's funny. Like I used to just let it happen, and like the more I've realized that's probably not a good look for the podcast. Probably should just put Oscar out. It's a tough thing. Some people are really nice
like
to
dogs,
Oscar.
though. So
it's like a dilemma. It's like, is the dog good for the show? Is the dog bad for the show? It could go either way.
I think as long as the guest is able to focus and you're able to focus, having a dog in the background with everything being on video nowadays, not the worst idea.
That's the problem. Oscar doesn't just lay there like the cat. Oscar, again, he's cool at first. This is what he does. Is he's cool for a good, like, we're about to start and he knows he's smart. So he's like sitting there, he's on top of you. He's like looking at us. I say, Oscar, we got to get out of here. And usually he kind of gives me a look and he's like, please let me stay. And you know, sometimes people will be like, okay, yeah, you can stay. I'm like, all right. And I tell them, I'm like, I give it 20, 30 minutes. I'm telling you. And then 20 or 30 minutes later, he gets up. Now he's walking around. Now he's staring at us. He's one of those dogs too. He's got a look in his eyes. Is how, you know, it's like a desperation. Like he's staring at you like there's an uncertainty within him. It's how I know dogs can have anxiety.
They can.
I see the way he looks at me.
Well, my dog still has anxiety, and she's had anxiety since I got her when she was like 4 months old or something like that.
It's usually part of their personality. Mm-hmm. It's just baked into it. Like,
and if
I remember the day I saw him,
they'll develop it though.
What's that?
If their owner has anxiety, they'll develop it.
Oh yeah, because they mirror you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I wonder how much of it is me. How much of it is him just seeing me all the time and just, you know, maybe he sees me just editing videos and doing podcasts and making songs, and he's just confused all the time. He's
Could
like,
be.
What is going on, Dad? He's just confused.
Yeah.
How much of it is my behavior? I actually don't know. He's always around me. You know, it's like, that's why it'd be so weird to have kids. I mean, you've had kids for a while now. You ever observe in your kids like your own behaviors that must be from you? You're like, oh my God, that's so much me.
100%.
Yeah, I'm sure.
With my middle child, my son Dylan, the most, he's taken on a few of my traits I'm not so proud of, with having a quick temper.
That's a tough one.
Son has
you're like
me too.
The temper thing would get you good. Yeah, because it's like, it's like a nature versus nurture thing at that point. You see your kid acting out, you're like, anger.
Well, it's not even like I get angry towards them. Well, I do. You know, every parent gets a little upset with their kids, but just little things where I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize they were paying attention when I did that.
Right.
Just driving and someone cuts you off, it's the instinct to be like, watch it, dickhead, you know, and then they see that and then you're like, ah, shit. Don't do that, and you got to explain to them. And
no, watch it, dickhead. Don't say watch it, dickhead.
Don't say watch it.
They were doing their best when they were driving. You turn it into
you have to try to. It's so difficult to do, though. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, because you kind of have to police yourself in real time. That's kind of what you're doing. You're like making sure you don't do anything that's, and you probably get really comfortable around your kids after a while. So it's just like, oh, these guys know me pretty well. And that's when it flies right out. That's probably the problem.
Pretty much, yeah. So
they're there too often.
Well, I started therapy because I didn't want my kids to take on my bad qualities. I'm like, I got to figure out how to manage my anger and manage my anxiety and all that stuff so that they could learn how to do that as well.
Oh, really? That was the idea?
That was the reason why I went. Yeah, I was one of those people. I was never anti-therapy, but I just was like, whatever. And then
I always feel like it's just people have bad experiences because there's so many bad therapists, just like there's bad teachers, like there's bad anything. And that's where a lot of that comes from. It's like people just know therapy can go wrong and they don't see the good side of it, you know?
Yeah, I'm on my second therapist now. I was in therapy for a good, like 2021 to halfway into 2024. I want to say like May of 24. And I just wasn't. There's nothing like he was good in the beginning, and then it was. I think eventually, you have to swap him out too.
Yeah,
so if you see someone too long, it's the same advice, and they get too comfortable with you. We would have an hour-long session where at the end, I'm like, did we talk about any of my problems, or did we just chit chat about things? You know, like
having podcasts with your therapist.
It really was. It was getting to that point where I'm like, well, this is stupid, you know. And then I went off of it, and then I shouldn't have, or I should have replaced him sooner because I didn't like. I meant to, but then, you know, life goes fast.
But at first it was good with him. Like at first
it was good. Yeah, I would say the first year and a half. If I was on for 3 years. Then the second year and a half was just like, I'm not getting anything out of it. But I was too nice because I felt bad. I'm like, how do I fire him? And then I eventually told him, like, you know, I got a busy, crazy month ahead. I'll let you know when I could start going again.
It's like a breakup.
I just stopped. Yeah. I think he figured it out. He's like, yeah, you let me know when you could start getting back into a routine. I'm like, you got it. And I never.
That is funny. It really is like breaking up with your friend. Like, hey, I'm going to be really busy over this next month. And then you just never contact him again.
I just slowly text
Bro,
less
where
and
you
less.
Been? Yeah.
Hey, sorry I didn't get back to you, but you know, life gets in the way.
And then they find out you have a new best friend, you have a new therapist, and they're like, oh, wait, hold on a minute.
I see your Instagram stories and they know.
Yeah, you've been going to therapy again, haven't you?
Well, as a comedian, he might be following my stand-up, and then he hears a joke about a new therapist, he's going to know.
Right, yeah.
He's on the outs.
Not only does he know, he knows your latest experiences with the therapist.
Fuck,
he knows all about
point.
it. Bro, I heard you talking about it. They looked at your penis. Really?
Well, she is a good therapist. She wanted to know what was going on.
She's a really good therapist.
Really good therapist.
But yeah, that's funny. Like, switching the therapist is a whole different thing, though. That's a whole different person, and that's going well, too. You got lucky. You won twice. It's good therapists all the way?
Yeah.
Really? Lucky you.
I'm liking her.
Yeah.
She's good. She's good.
She gets you.
Yeah, I'm going every other week, and I'm more clear about it, too. Like, I should have went into therapy last time around, especially when I had something that was triggering me, to use one of your words. I should have just didn't dive right into it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. He was good at first because at first he was saying things I needed. Like his style was good for what I needed at that time. But then when I was growing past that, because, you know, the positive reinforcement thing is all well and good. But if you're not getting the results, eventually the positive reinforcement just falls on deaf ears. Because it's like, buddy, like, I've been doing it that way. We got to get past that now.
Yeah. It's almost like you just need a different perspective. Like you can't get the same perspective. Yeah, I see. Like,
I need you to tell me I was a fucking idiot just then and not be like, don't be so hard on yourself. Because I think now I need to be a little hard on myself. Before you were right. You know, it's almost like you got to read the situation. Sometimes you have a friend that needs a kick in the ass because that's what they need. Not literally, but, you know, figuratively. And And then you also have a friend that you're like, you know what? We got to tell him he's doing great. We got to get his self-esteem going again. Let him know, hey, man, you're human. We all make mistakes. Whatever's going on, I got your back. I'm here for you. And then other times be like, buddy, you know, I'm letting you know this straight up because I give a fuck, but that's not cool. What you need to take responsibility and accountability and get your shit together. All right, we all care about you, but enough's enough. Like,
right. And they're all different things. Yeah, they're all like different forms of like love in a way. I feel like that's the other thing I like to say about therapy is that it is like it points out the patterns in yourself that you don't see. Like I think when it's done well, that's the best thing that could possibly happen is you start to see these patterns in yourself that you like. I think like a lot of therapy is like you're trained to listen to the person and let them talk and say whatever they got to say and let them keep going and find a way to get them to keep going and then just tell them the thing that they just told you in a different way.
A lot of it, yeah.
It's all it is. It's like you're just projecting to them what you just heard almost.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You know.
And you have to pick out the pattern. It's like finding the patterns in them and like showing it to them. Because then you see it when you as the person see it. And I guess that's why you would need the right therapist, right? Because if you can't see the pattern anymore, if you can never find it, what are you going to do? It's like you're doing nothing.
That's exactly it. Yeah. There's a pattern of these things. That's why they ask you the questions that they ask you because you don't think in the moment to ask yourself those questions. Your friends aren't trained enough to ask those questions. And they'll pick up on your you know, what gets you excited. Because I remember one time in therapy, she was like, notice that you're more amped up right now. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Where before, it was like we were just having a conversation, calm and cool. But she hit on a topic that I felt a lot about. So I was like, yeah. And then, you know, and then I was just going. So it's like, just try to be aware of that. Yeah, I didn't notice it. She noticed. She's like, you're more, take a second to realize how much more, like you lean forward in your chair, you're blah, 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 you know, you're just more animated right now. That read into that, figure out why you get that way with certain things and what, you know, and how you get past it.
Therapists are good at manipulating people.
Probably.
If they could just see that stuff all the time.
That would be fun. Wouldn't that be the fun part of the job?
That'd be awesome. There's that show Lie to Me, I think. That's what it's all about. Is like I can just read everybody's emotions.
Oh, is that what
it
is?
Yeah.
That's cool. I never saw that show.
That'd be awesome. I mean, it's like a superpower at that point, you know? I mean, I always think like, I wonder how much goes into like becoming a therapist, like all the things that they learn, how to pick up on all those little things, you know? Because it probably is like a very useful skill. And you have to, you know, a good therapist, I imagine, would have to apply that stuff to themselves all the time too. You'd have to always be thinking about. You have to be introspective all the time. You know, because like bad therapy, I would imagine again is the opposite of that. It's like the person who's the therapist who talks about themselves. Like I've heard that story before, where I went into therapy and they just were talking to me about their life, which is weird. Like that actually happens.
No, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. I think my therapist after a while got really fascinated with the world of stand-up comedy. So would just start asking me about like
you guys got
the
close.
booking process where I'm like, yeah, you do this. I'm like, what are we doing right now? Like, I'm not,
That's funny.
do you want to know what open mics to hit up? Like, I don't get what we're doing, you know? Because I remember talking about being frustrated about something, and then they give you that bad advice that like people outside of that world, have you tried emailing the Tonight Show? It's like, what the fuck are you saying right now, you idiot? It's like with music, they'd be like, why don't you drop your record off at the radio station? Like, what?
Yeah.
This is not how any of this shit works. I'm not paying you for this. You're not my manager.
It's almost kind of sweet, though.
Yeah.
The innocence of the question.
It is very innocent.
How little they actually know. Like, they think it's that easy.
It'd be sweet and innocent if I wasn't paying them for the time. You know what I mean?
I went to my dentist once, and, like, I was going to go for, like, 2 hours, like a 2-hour appointment. And I remember, like, it was just the way that we were talking to each other. He must have asked me a question or something, but like I talked to my dentist for like 4, 5, 6 hours, and it was sunset when I left. I got there at like noon. It was like one of those things, and he just must have really saw something in me. It was like he was asking me all about like, wow, like, can you believe this kid? Like he just wanted to talk to me so much, and it's just interesting when that happens,
that
right? When
nice,
you go somewhere
yeah.
and like a dentist's office or a therapist or a doctor, and then you just like you're chill, like you're bros. You just talk for a while. It kind of catches you off guard. You know, I went home thinking like I got the dentist number. He sent me a YouTube video.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a problem with my computer, and the guy came in, and I also got his number. And you know what's funny is I don't know if I just have this effect on people or what, but like I had another problem with my computer like 2 or 3 weeks later, and so like I had the guy come and pick up my computer, and he was no, it was a hard drive. I dropped my hard drive, and it cost a lot of money, folks, if you break a hard drive to fix the hard drive. So it was about $1,500 overall that I had to pay. But he came and he picked it up and they did the hard drive repair. And I remember like the day he was gonna tell me how much it was gonna cost and like all this. I'm waiting throughout this whole process. Like, I'm waiting for him to pick it up. I give it to him. I'm waiting to hear how long it's gonna take, how much I'm gonna have to pay them. So then the day he tells me that, he calls me, or I think I called him just to like make sure, like just ask him a detail. And then I talked to that dude for about an hour and a half, an hour 40 minutes about like, you know, Apple phones and like the repairs of these phones. And I don't know, like it just makes me wonder, like, again, is it me? Like, what's going on here? Why does this guy want to talk to me right now? Like, cause he wanted to share.
Good quality, man.
I guess
you got a good quality there where people are like, I just met this guy, but I feel like I've known him long enough where I could start to spill my guts on some shit. That's a good quality,
repairman, the
maybe
dentist.
You could be a therapist.
Yeah, that dude. I know. I've thought that. I think I'm like, I've joked before, like doing a podcast is almost like my audition for therapy. Like you're just getting people to share.
Get a therapist on as a guest.
Ooh,
there's
that's
a comedian
good one.
that does therapy.
No way,
there's
really?
a comedian that's a therapist. I've never met her, but her name is, so I'm looking it up. I'm paying attention.
That's cool though.
Jen Flackman, I think her name is. And she runs like a therapy show at,
I feel like I might have seen this.
Yeah, somewhere there's some show that she runs.
Therapy and comedy.
Yeah, at the Lincoln Lodge, I want to say.
Like she merges the two with the show. Mm-hmm. Wonder how that works. Therapy and comedy.
Oh yeah, producer of BetterHelp Comedy.
BetterHelp Comedy.
Therapy made fun of therapy parody comedy show hosted and produced by Flackmania, which is Jen Flaxman.
And she's an actual therapist.
She's an actual therapist. She's a licensed therapist.
Wow. But it's marketed as parody therapy. So it's probably like a little bit of both. It's like we're making fun of it, but also I am a real therapist.
I want to do it. I should hit her up.
That's fun. Would you know what they do at the show exactly?
I think you do your set and then you sit down with her and the audience could ask questions and then she could like talk about the psychology maybe behind some of the jokes. I think that's what it is. So I've seen a couple clips.
She diagnoses me.
Pretty much.
That's pretty good.
Which in stand-up comedy, she could just.
He obviously has a problem
eyes.
with his mother. He's clearly a problem with his mother, with
Doesn't
his
trust
family.
women because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just a roast at the end.
I know. At the end, it's like, wow, you really. I like.
You really nailed me.
I want to do it to see if she could just like pull something out of her ass. Not like that wouldn't be true, but something where I'm like. Oh my God, you just cured me. Now that I know that that's the thing, I could address it and move forward.
Trying to use this as a free therapy session.
That's why I want to do it. I don't even care about my set.
Yeah.
I'll go
afterwards. You're
time.
like, hey, could we do this like privately sometime? Can we just talk?
Although she's a comedian though, so she's probably messed up too. People forget therapists can be screwed up in the head too.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
it goes both. Like, so there are a lot of therapists who probably just go the other way. Like they're just interested in it because they're trying to understand themselves or some weird thing, you know? Because it's.
Well, I mean, it's like one of those things where you see there are people who are good at like do as I say but not as I do type of deal. Like I've seen doctors who smoke cigarettes. Doesn't mean they're not a good doctor.
Nurses have smoke breaks all the time. You just have to smoke outside the parking lot. It's always funny to me to see nurses smoking outside the parking lot. You see them in their
scrubs, cold day. Yeah.
What an image that is, you know?
I know. We had a personal trainer in high school that smoked cigarettes. But yeah, they just, you know, they'll probably tell you, hey, don't do this shit. Smoking's bad. I know it's bad, but I have a stressful job and I like to have a cigarette here or there.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm not a good doctor, is my point.
Of course.
So just because there's a therapist who's like, you know, twice divorced doesn't mean that they can't give you good advice to help you, you know, make better life choices.
But there are red flags.
Definitely. Yeah. Like you said earlier, there's plenty of shitty ones too, just like any job.
The two divorces is just the beginning. Just keep an eye out. That's all I'm saying. Just make sure to listen closely to your therapist once you find out certain. You know, some people it's almost like, you know, having bad friends. It's like you shouldn't take advice from certain people.
Right? No, that's true too. I thought my therapist had dandruff once, but I think it was just the way the camera looks. I'm like, does that dandruff on her shoulder? I can't go to someone who can't clean their own scalp.
Start to think about them a little bit more. Yeah. But really with friends, like that one, I've learned that one the tough way a lot of times. Like I've learned I'm really nice to people. I always have good faith in people. And so like you got to reflect on that a little bit. You got to be a therapist a little bit. Look at your friends and be like, well, am I just being too nice here? You know, like, because it's easy. It's very easy to be really, to give your friends extra credit, you know, when like in comedy or in music, like I'm talking like doing creative things. I'll see a lot of people who just do not have like the standards that I wish they had. Like I know they could do so much better if they tried harder. And it's like that kind of thing, you know, where it's just, you just see that and that is what it is. And it makes me think, would I take advice from that person? Like if that person were to give me like advice about what I should do with my music or my podcast or my art or whatever, like how valid is that advice? Because it's tough. So a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, that's true. I've had some people who, you know,
I've had random people
give you good advice, and you're like, wow, where'd you come up with that nugget of information? You should say that to yourself sometime.
Exactly.
Right? You know?
Yes.
And friendship's a crazy thing, you know, like it's interesting meeting different people and seeing how they look at their friendships, because I've always been a pretty loyal friend and I've been a forgiving friend. So when you meet people who don't have that, it throws you off a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
And then there are some people who just care so much about what their friends think that it could hold them back in a sense. So it's like, look, you love these people, and it's good to care what they think because you love them so much, but don't let what you think they might think hold you back from any potential happiness or any, you know, something that could change your life in a good way.
Yeah.
I've seen that from people before too, where it's like, my friends might think this. Well, who gives a shit? You think they're going to stop being your friends because of that? And if so, then they were never that good of friends to begin with.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, it's like a codependent relationship, though. It's kind of what it becomes. Like, you can't do certain things without your friends agreeing. That is a weird place to be. I've never thought that way. So that's actually, like, wild to me that people really do. But they do.
Yeah, they do?
Yeah, they do all the time. It's probably the more common thing is to be worried about what your friends think and worried about what everybody's thinking.
Oh, yeah, we're different.
Yeah, there's something wrong with us.
Probably
what it is.
We're
You're in therapy. I should be.
But no, I know it's but I think we're right in a lot of ways too.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we're bad friends.
Yeah.
It just means I've got a life to live too.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't think it's that healthy to be like, what are my friends going to think? What are my friends going to think? What do you think?
Right.
Go from there. You could ask their opinion, but if you feel strongly that you need to do a thing, fuck what your friends might think.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it's not like, luckily, the vast majority of friends I've had in my life, whenever I've had a thought that they might not like a thing, they've stuck by me, which means I chose the right people. And if they didn't, then fine. Okay, well, let's talk about it or whatever. I can't even think of real examples, but, you know, these situations arise from time to time. It's like I had a friend who was telling me that another friend of his was going to forgive him. And I'm like, he did something stupid, I think. Nothing like crazy, but, you know. And then I was like, all right, well, tell him that you value forgiveness in a friend. So the fact that he won't forgive you, then just let it go. And he goes, you know what, that's true. I actually do value forgiveness in a friend. And the fact that he won't forgive me, maybe I am better off. I'm like, yeah, maybe.
Interesting. And that's what he said to him, I hope. That would be the right thing to say.
Well,
you're right.
You should talk it out. I feel like, hopefully I'm not coming off as someone who's making friendship to be this thing that's easily dismissed. It's not. Friendship's great.
Yeah.
And if you have great friends, do whatever you can to hold on to them, value them, be grateful for them.
Well, you have to have boundaries, right? Like,
yeah,
you have
like
to have,
anything,
like,
you have to have boundaries, sure.
Yeah, you have to, like it's like, yeah, if your friends just constantly do things that you wouldn't, like, if your friend does something, they don't apologize, and that's a pattern in your friendship. Yeah, you can't just let your friend step all over you all the time. Is that really your friend? At a certain point, is that your friend? Yeah.
100%.
And you could know them for years and years and years. Like, people change. That's the crazy part. That could just come out of nowhere with some people.
People change. I lost a pretty good friend, a guy I was really tight with for a while. And I moved to LA. I lived in LA from 2014 to 2017. And while I was there, we would text every now and then and stuff like that. When I'd come home, we met up a few times, like when I was coming back for a weekend to visit. And then I moved back, and my oldest son was born in LA, and I moved back when he was like 3 months old. And I was back for like a month or two, and I hadn't seen him yet. And a few friends of mine were like, oh, I ran into so-and-so. He's a little upset that you haven't hit him up. And I'm like, what? Well, if you see him again, tell him to hit me up, because I just moved back across the country with an infant. His fingers aren't broken. He has no responsibilities in his life. Single guy, one-bedroom apartment. Tell him to hit me up, okay? I'm doing a lot of shit right now. And then he never did, and then I never hit him up, and I go, all right, that was fine. That's fine. That's how that, were we both being petty? Perhaps. But if that's how that ends, that's how that ends.
Yeah.
I felt like I did nothing wrong. He was just expecting me to hit him up when it's like, all right, man, if you miss me that much, you could also send out a text. It goes both ways.
And people are weird about that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm on the extreme where I feel like if I don't message you back, if I don't text you back, like you shouldn't even take those things personally, because it's like you have no clue what's going on in my life. Like, do you really expect me to message you back every time? Because people will get upset about that. They'll be like, you must be ignoring me. Like, you definitely were posting on social media. You never messaged me. It's like, you have no idea. Like, how could you possibly get upset about those kinds of things? And, you know, like, I've had like moments where people have actually gotten mad at me, and I've said exactly that. Like, are you crazy? Like, do you have any idea? Like, you don't even know. And people will get mad. They'll be like, it's almost like there's this expectation, like, for you to constantly be able to respond or be there and all that. And, you know, it's like, you can't be. You really can't be.
No, yeah, you can't be.
Yeah. And like, even if you're good friends, like, I think like the really good friendship, if you're really good friends, especially with guys, it's like, oh, bro, we haven't seen each other in years. It's just great to see you, and you just talk like you've talked years ago. That's usually how the ideal. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, I love that. That's
how it should be.
Absolutely, how it should be.
I haven't talked to you in a year and a half. Your kid can talk all of a sudden, and we're talking one more time, and we're talking for like 5 hours, and it's just like it always was. That should be like a great friendship.
That should be it. Yeah, I have a few of those, and I fucking love them. They're the best. But what you were saying too, people, you don't know what other people are going through.
Yeah, right.
I don't think as human beings we give each other enough grace for things, which is funny to me because we're in this era where everyone's pushing mental health. We have to be better with our mental health, be better with our mental health. But then I don't think people care about it as much as they say. I think they just like to say that they do, as opposed to actually putting it in practice. Because if people put it in practice more, our mental health would be improving. It's not, though. And I really do think it's based on the connections we have with other people, you know?
Right.
I don't know if I'm making sense with this, but like...
Well, like the focus of mental health, right? It's like, what is the actual focus of like the campaign of mental health? Like, what are we focusing on? Because I always feel like what mental health really looks like the dark side of mental health is not fashionable. Like, it's not something that you can just like throw on a video and talk about it and have it be all cute. It's like people leaning over on drugs, and you need to like take them from this terrible place and put them somewhere else.
Someone having a manic episode.
Yeah.
People who have manic episodes.
I have family members like this. Yeah, I've seen this plenty of times. Manic episodes are a crazy one, though. That's a great example, because I've had friends like this, and I have family members like this, where it's like you see them go through cycles. It's almost as if they're cool for a while, and you love them when they're cool, and then they just all of a sudden start to flip, and there's this thing happening, and they're so certain that there's the reality that they're in, that they're telling you that they're in, is such a certainty. And like the paranoia of a manic episode, it just makes you feel bad for them.
Yeah, I feel very bad for them, but I've also seen people be like, I can't put up with that.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is like the fashion of it. Yeah,
but if their form of depression was being just sad and can't get out of bed, then everyone rallies.
Yeah.
Because that's fine. Oh, they're just lying there peacefully. Right. They're not fucking going crazy at a Target, you know what I mean, or whatever. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's like
you treat them the same. You treat them the same if you truly, cared. But people still their own shit.
It all comes from the same place. Yeah, in the end, it's all this same like cycle of depression and sadness and darkness. Like, it all comes from that same thing. And if you really cared, if you really wanted the world to heal and get better, you wouldn't want any of that. You would hate all of it altogether. You wouldn't like, it. I don't know, because it's how do you get people to want to care about such a thing? Like, what do you even do? Because I mean, how do you do it? I mean, especially when like there's not a structure for it. There's not a structure to fix it really. The drugs that you give people end up just usually pushing them further into some different state. Like, I don't know what you do to actually save people. I feel like everyone's just getting gradually crazier. Like, if I was to think of like a timeline of the future, I would guess like in 500 years, schizophrenia is up by like 500%. Like, it's gotta be, there's just no way that it doesn't keep getting worse somehow. We don't keep going crazy. Like the way that we treat everything.
One.
Yeah.
That one's a very tough one. I've seen some sadness with that one. I had a friend I went to high school with that got that, and
schizophrenia is bad.
It's bad.
And what's so sad about it is it's the late onset. It's in your 20s that usually you really start to have symptoms.
That's when it happened to a friend of mine. This guy was like honor roll student, basketball star, popular kid, and then he just he went schizophrenic and just lost his way and You could tell when he was on his medication when he wasn't, and usually he's not, because he'll go on social media and make these posts that make no sense to anybody. Yeah. It's really just like, the bananas look like the moon tonight, don't you think, kids? And it's like, what? And, just stuff like, there's stuff that just sounds nonsensical, I
had a family member who had schizophrenia, and he was staying at my house, and I got home, and this was like when I was in high school, I feel like, and he was telling me I had dragon blood, like everybody has a different animal blood, and he was talking about how he casts spells and how he's killed people in Hollywood with his spells, and he's going to be casting a spell tonight. And just all these things, and you sit there and you listen, and it's all you really can do is just sit there and listen. Yeah. They don't even they actually just want to share. They don't even really need you to say anything, So, and the hard part is like, you don't want to really ask too many questions because you don't want to give them too much you kind of want them to stop, but they're just going to keep going no matter what. And like the other interesting thing about people with schizophrenia and like that type of mentality is that they're always like really smart in certain topics. Like this guy could tell me all about witchcraft and spells, and all that stuff he's saying is actually valid, like on a certain level. If you were to research the spells that he's trying to do and like the witchcraft he's telling me about, there's a legitimacy to a lot of the things he's saying. It just sounds crazy the way he's strung it all together into the reality he has. But they're smart. In a way, they're smart. Like they create, and I think that's the whole thing with our artistry. Truly, I think artistry comes with craziness, and there's a certain intelligence to looking at things the wrong way, and there's a certain smartness about that. Like I've even thought, like, damn, if I was to be completely sane, like, would my music even be good anymore? If I was to be a completely normal, so-and-so normal person, you heal everything and you're perfect. It's almost better that I'm exactly the way I am. It makes you what you are.
There's few people. There's always, because great art has to come from somewhere, unless you're just like a savant,
Yeah.
I did a show in Rockford where this girl in the crowd, people were telling me about it afterwards because she was with her family. It was around Christmas time, and she was like, "Oh, you were really funny." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And then the other comics were like, "Do you know who that is?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "She's a fucking Grammy winner." I'm like, "What?" She's a girl who started playing piano when she was like 2, and she did like all the music for Moana, the movie that just came out.
Crazy.
Yeah, and she won Grammy for it. And she was Beyonce's touring pianist for a while. And
how old was she when you met her?
I met her last December. She's 23.
Wow.
She's 23. She's already toured with Beyonce. Already won a Grammy. She does musical scores now for a bunch of movies. She did Moana 2 and some other shit. And she's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know her in that world, but in the composing world, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's some people who are just freaks like that. I don't think she had any kind of bad upbringing. From what I understand, her grandma watched her and just had a piano, and she just was naturally good at the age of 2. Just it made sense to her because she's like a genius in that sense.
And then like that certain genius that like the way that what kind of kid wants to play piano when they're 2 years old?
Exactly. It just
most kids don't want that.
No, but then you have like other musicians who music was their way out.
Yeah, right.
Music was like their outlet. They had abusive parents or a shitty dad or a shitty mom, and they found a guitar down the street in the alley and strung it up and just learned how to knock out some tunes and became a big deal.
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy are usually people who are really funny, are people who used humor in different situations growing up to make life better for those around them.
Almost always.
Almost always.
Yeah. Again, like unless you're a savant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I've never really met a comedy savant. Although I do think there are 2 types of comedians. If we could revert back to childhood, there was the comedians who were at the back of the bus on a field trip, making everyone laugh, being loud, being the class clown type. Then there was like the clever writers who would be sitting in like the second row, but they could write funny stuff down in their notebook. They had like,
right,
like almost the one-liner type minds where they're like set up and punch.
Like an introvert.
Yeah, like because there's a lot of comedians who are introverted. They go up there, like Mitch Hedberg was a famous one like that, where he just couldn't make eye contact with anyone when he talked to him, but would go up there and just say his quips. But those comics usually aren't very personal. You know what I mean?
Meaning what?
Like Bill Burr will go on stage and talk about his life. Dave Chappelle goes on stage and talks about his life. You know what I mean? Those were dudes who probably did pretty well for themselves in high school as far as having friends. Then you take the guys like Dimitri Martin, Mitch Hedberg's a good example. I'm trying to think of the latest example of those types of comics where they just kind of, they're quieter. Their whole thing, they're, they go on stage and they're very funny, but you won't hear a whole lot of like 5-minute long jokes about, something personal that happened to them.
I would say Mark Norman kind of does that too.
Mark Norman is kind of a setup joke guy.
Like he doesn't really do a lot of long jokes.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. You're right. He's a good example of that.
Like I was thinking, like, does he really talk about his life and like do a big story about his life? Like I don't think I ever really see him do that.
No, it's kind of a lot of observational.
And I feel like his writing style is like, oh, gotcha. Like it's always gotchas over and over and over again.
Like Anthony Jeselnik is always a twist.
Yeah.
A bait and switch, they call that.
Yeah.
You know, where you think he's going one way with the joke and then he goes a different way.
Yeah.
Those comics are, when they're good, they're great. But there are some comics who do that style where I'm like, after 10 minutes, I'm like, I get it. Yeah. I don't want to watch you do a 45-minute headlining spot.
It becomes predictable.
Yeah, exactly. I'll watch you on a showcase with other comedians because eventually you'll be done. You know, I'll enjoy it while it's going. Like, you know, comedians do like puns.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I like a pun. I don't want an hour's worth though.
Who was the one you said? Mitch Hedberg. He's probably one of like the rare occasions where it's that he can actually do it for 40 minutes and it's not unbearable. Because I've heard someone say that where it's like, I think it was Zach Albers who said it to me, but it's like there's some comedians where you watch them for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and you're thinking like, man, would I want to see them for any longer than this? And it's like we just said, like you can't really maintain that same rhythm for any longer than 10 minutes or so without wearing people out. Yeah. And some people have like, it's almost like a repetitive, like I feel like Anthony Jeselnik has kind of become that over time. It's a strange thing because before he was kind of like, he was very subversive, but like more and more over time, it's become like you can feel the rhythm of his comedy. Every single joke, you know where it's going. Every time. Even though it's a misdirection, you know the misdirection is coming. Yes. So it's almost kind of spoiled the whole concept because now everything is a misdirection. And now the actual misdirection would be not doing the misdirection. That would actually be more subversive if he did the exact opposite of that now because he's done it for so long.
He said the obvious part. Yeah.
And it's just kind of fun. Like, it's almost like you're a victim of your own success at that point, you know? And again, like, you can't blame a person. It's like the whole thing with music I was talking about where you're successful with creativity is that you're rewarded for doing the same thing. You can't even really blame somebody if you're filling up a stadium and you're doing that, you know. Well, you're filling up a stadium still, and you can't get mad at you.
No, I get it. You're but victim of your own success. Is
yeah,
a good way
exactly.
to describe that.
Because he being in his shoes, he probably wouldn't want to break away from it. He's fallen into.
He might not want to.
Maybe he doesn't.
He seems like a well thought out guy. I don't know him. He seems like a well thought out guy though. From the clips I've seen, smart guy, very smart guy. But yeah, he might just really love that style, and maybe because he loves the style, but the fans also expect it. Sometimes I think to myself, like as a music fan, you got those bands you like where it's like, oh, they've got like Smashing Pumpkins come to mind. They had a bunch of rock and roll, or not rock and roll, but like alternative rock albums.
Yeah.
Then after the one, they decided to do like a techno thing. And I remember in interviews, he's like, well, we didn't want to do the same old thing anymore. So it's like, I respect that artist to artist. That's awesome. As a fan, I hate this.
Korn did a lot of that too.
I want you to do, I want you to do Siamese Dream again. I want
you remember
that
Korn's
album.
dubstep album?
Yeah.
But yeah, Siamese Dream. When did that? I feel like it was after their because I got into Smashing Pumpkins over the last like 6 months or so, and I think it was they had the 2 big albums, and then the techno thing happens, right?
There was kind of 3. Gish was their debut, and that did really well. It wasn't like huge, but it did well. And then Siamese Dream was a massive hit. That
with the
album.
2 kids on the cover. And
It's a great album. It's got the song Disarm and Today. And some really good hits on there. The whole album's great though. Rarely a track to skip. Then they did Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, which was a double album, and that's when they started to experiment a little bit more, but nothing too crazy. I mean, he brought in like an orchestra for the song Tonight, but Disarm had kind of like the church bell type sound going on that sounded great, and violins in that song too. So that wasn't too crazy. And they still had, like Zero and Bullet Butterfly Wings, which is like hard rock anthem type songs. But then it was after that they did.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it was after those first 3. So
interesting, because
I can't remember the name of the album. If I heard it, I'd be like, "That's it." But
it was it must have been like right in the early 2000s.
It was. It was early 2000s.
I wonder what
a lot of people were fucking with that shit in the early 2000s.
Yeah, were they? Smashing Pumpkins.
Like if you were
coming out of the 90s.
They were trying to find a new thing, where they were just, I don't know, making the songs a little bassier or whatever. And then it was funny because as they were doing that, that's when the pop punk thing got really big.
Oh, right.
And then they were all kind of looking at themselves like, we were trying to find the next big sound, and you're telling us we're going back to the 3-chord progression thing that we were doing fucking 12 years ago or whatever, you know?
I wonder if they could have done something different though, because like there's a lot of bands who came out of that era that still managed to, like System of a Down, they kept their thing going into like 2010. They never really changed too much from the 90s.
They probably never felt the pressure to change though either.
Yeah.
Because they kind of were their own thing in a lot of ways.
The whole reason that it kind of fell apart is Surge didn't like that they hadn't changed. Like Surge wanted to do different things and branch out, and I think the rest of the band didn't really want to do that. And like the story is, like their last album, he didn't really even want to write it at that point. That's why you hear more of the other vocalists later on in the albums, is because Surge's involvement is kind of like dwindling away. Even though like Surge is incredibly talented. I think he just didn't really want to be doing that heavy metal type of music, because you look at the stuff he makes on his own and it's more melodic and more, which is just, you know, yeah. What was I talking about?
No, we're talking about when artists and bands try something different.
Yeah. And so it's hard to, they tried stuff. Every band is going to have that happen. I mean, there's really no way to avoid it. It's really just staying in touch with whatever it is. Like, you know, in rap, an example that always, it's a controversial one, is Eminem. It's like a lot of people don't like modern Eminem. A lot of people don't think of modern Eminem as like on the level of hip hop, like other hip hop that is out now, which is crazy to think about if you think about where Eminem was in the late 90s. Eminem was on top of hip hop. The most symbolic thing of like where hip hop was going and like what the sound was at that time would be Eminem in like the late 90s and early 2000s. And it's like crazy how his touch on the pulse of culture has changed over time, because he is still amazingly talented. I love Eminem. But like the way people perceive him is so different than it used to be.
Yeah, I know a lot of like
it's unavoidable, is what I'm saying.
People in the early 20s look at Eminem differently because they don't understand. It's almost like with the show Seinfeld. I remember hearing someone say something about like, yeah, I don't get it. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. You're watching it now and you're seeing it as not original, because so many shows you know now were inspired by that.
I feel like listening to the Beatles is forever going to be that.
Yeah, that's good. That some people have that problem with the Beatles because they don't realize quite how revolutionary they were.
I think it's kind of impossible. Like, unless you could place yourself in the time, how do you even really know? How
can you? And Eminem had that. Like you were talking about before, when Eminem came on, he not only was he a great rapper, like he legitly could flow, or whatever, however they say it. I sounded real like trying to sound like I'm young. Did they say flow? Is that what the kids say? But he was rapping about like shit that no one else was rapping about.
Yeah.
Rapping about wanting to kill his ex-wife, his mom being a drug addict, DCFS taking his kid. Rap before that was all I'm the shit. That's what it was. It was every song was the whoever was rapping bragging about how awesome they were. Like, I will do this, I will do that. No one fucks with me. I'm the shit, which is fun. That's the, you know, for someone to complain about rap being too braggadocious would be like saying the blues are too sad. Like, no, that's what it is. And that's great. And a lot of the songs were fun, but they're more like party anthem or don't fuck with me. I'm the shit. Right. He was coming along doing like stuff about like how fucked up he is. Like telling, like, being way more personal, way more honest than any rapper. Which, really,
with the idea of mental health we were talking about before, I would actually argue that something like Slim Shady, like him rapping about that stuff, is actually like a more accurate portrayal of like bad accurate mental health than a lot of things.
Well, without Eminem, you don't get like Kid Cudi.
Yeah,
Kid Cudi, who raps about a lot of honest things too.
Yeah.
Eminem paved the way for so many of the rappers who have come along who rap about honest shit.
I mean,
like real life problems.
Stan is probably one of his biggest songs, and it's about someone who's like a toxic fan who kills their girlfriend and their baby they're gonna have because he's such a fan of Eminem.
And then he responds to him by being like, "Dude, I'm just fucking around. Why are you taking everything I say seriously?"
Yeah,
because that's what was happening. Eminem got so big, people were like his word of mouth was gospel.
When he's talking about like, oh, you know, I'll hit a bitch, I don't care, and then people are saying, oh, well, Eminem says it's cool, and then the media responds to that with Eminem says it's okay to hit women. What do you think about this? And everything he said would be tongue in cheek. It's always like how he's setting up a bar. That's kind of what's funny about it. It's like out of context, yeah, he's saying something awful. But it's like if you say something in comedy and you find a way to say the awful thing. Like that's what Slim Shady was. It was saying the worst possible thing, but finding a way to justify all of it in this stupid character. Like that's really...
And he did a great job for it. And I think
And it was revolutionary. Like you did a great job painting the picture. Because I mean, like you don't have all this other stuff that's so expressive in such a way.
Yes.
Hip hop is like in the 90s, it is just like walking down the street and I'm so fine.
Yeah.
Like that's what.
I mean,
it was like fuck the police, or it was like a little bit of like it was getting raw, but it was still like. It was this braggadocious, like, tough guy thing.
Yeah.
We're cool. And that's still what it is in a lot of ways.
It still is that in a lot of ways. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you had Run DMC doing, or no, it wasn't Run DMC. Who did Public Enemy to Fight the Power? So they were they were political. Rap started off kind of pretty political. Then commercialization of it came through. Rap stations started coming out. So then they wanted stuff that was a little bit more rap pop in a sense, although no one called it that at the time.
My boy Vanilla Ice.
So as much as I like the song Gin and Juice by Snoop Dogg, like that's just about them getting fucked up one afternoon.
Yeah.
Rolling down the street smoking whatever, sipping on gin and juice, right? Like, you know, he talks about his buddy showing up to the party with a box of condoms, and I came through with Tanqueray, which is a gin brand, and like, you know, it's good. It was fun.
Right.
Nothing But a G Thing's fun. Then they were rapping about rivalries. And look, I'm not a rap critic. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying it is what it was.
That's interesting,
but
though.
You can't
it went
have
a different
one
way.
without the other. Yeah, one different way. So then Eminem coming around, being the first guy to rap about like personal shit, like personal, in a way that was like, whoa, all right, cool. This is crazy. All right. That paved the way for everything else. And then we kind of went back to the, you know, music goes in cycles in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
right?
it does.
Like music in the late 60s was very political. Music in the 80s was not. Right?
Right.
Like, did Metallica ever have a political song where they were tearing down Reagan? No. Like, you know what I mean?
Was there even another big political phase in music other than like that one? Did it ever really come back around?
It never really
again?
came back around the way people had hoped it was. There's still a lot of artists out there pushing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And using their platforms, but not enough for my liking.
Right.
I think there should be a few more.
Yeah. Well, it's a tough thing because I think like you risk alienating. Yeah. You just like, you kind of can never turn back from it. Like that's kind of how I look at it, is like if you are to state, like if you're to, and also political music, it's kind of like you put yourself in a box. Like I think it's a tough line to walk. Like if you look at someone like Rage Against the Machine, and like people get mad at them now because they don't agree with some of their politics now, but their music is timeless. Like the stuff they were saying then is timeless. It's so good. But people, it's almost like you just put yourself, and now people are going to look at you politically forever. You'll never escape it. Everything you say is viewed through this lens. Yeah. And you can't get away from it.
If you have some humor mixed into it, I think that helps.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
Because there's been some groups that could, it's not even like you have to have your songs be like super political, but if you use your platform to speak out against stuff, you know, which there's been plenty of artists who've done, like, some do it well, some don't.
Right.
I'm trying to think of examples of who's doing it today. Jason Isbell seems to be pretty good about that. This group Kneecap made waves at Coachella recently with a lot of their, Free Palestine stuff. And then I'm trying to think who else. What other artists?
There was this rap group I saw on TikTok where they were they were doing like a 90s style thing, and they're doing exactly that, like protest kind of music. And I feel like that's a cool, like a throwback old school, and then rap about that. That might be the cool.
Well, I know I like Kneecap a lot. They're great. I saw them live in Chicago at the Concord. There's actually a movie about them on Netflix called Kneecap, and it's really cool because it's funny. The movie's like 85% true, but it's a biopic, like in real time. The director said, I love music biopics, but it's always about the rise and fall. I wanted to do a music biopic about a group that's on the way up, and we don't know what the future holds for them because they're just starting out. So it basically shows their start. So it's a really cool movie. Michael Fassbender's in it. I mean, it's not like a documentary. It's scripted, right? So
yeah, is it like you're saying, like in real time, like that Saturday Night Live movie where it's like all in one day? It's
not all in one day like that Saturday Night Live movie, but it's basically what just shows how the group came together. Okay, and then because they've gotten bigger since the movie came out. Like when the movie came out, they were playing like the year before the movie came out. They played at the Beat Kitchen in Chicago, which is like what 200 people could fit in there, small. And then I saw them at the Concord, which is on Milwaukee, near Armitage, and that's like 500 people.
So it's a documentary? It's
not a documentary, but I'm saying it just shows how they started. It just tells the story of how they started. But I'm saying, like, what makes it cool is that it's not it's in real time in the sense that, like, the movie is almost ran parallel with their rise.
Right.
You know?
Oh, I see.
And now more and more people are finding out about them because they're being outspoken in a lot of good ways.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And like, yeah, I feel like political music. I'm trying to think. There was that like, it's always weird. It's always like a weird thing because I don't know how much of it is like, is people just doing it because like there was the Let's Go Brandon rapper a couple years ago. He like there was the whole Let's Go Brandon thing, if you remember that, and then a guy rapped a song over like some beat about that and it went viral. And then there's also the guy Tom MacDonald, if you're familiar with him. He's always trying to be subversive. He just did a song with Roseanne where they're rapping about how Trump's finally back in office. It's great content. I mean, you can't deny that the guy knows what he's doing. But it's so obvious what he's doing. Like, I think he got popular years ago with it was a song about like white pride, like white boy, and he's talking about like how nobody lets him be proud of him being white and how he's standing up against everybody. And he's always saying the thing that you're not allowed to say. That's who Tom MacDonald is. And so that's what I mean with political music.
I think I know who you're talking about now. That's
you see a lot of these people.
Yeah, that's political, not from like that's political where there's just too many fucking opinions nowadays. Everyone wants to talk. So, because we have these damn phones. So you could literally record yourself, hi, here's my thoughts on Trump, and post it online. And then you think they all want to be pundits. That's like pundit rap to me instead of political rap.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
In my mind, hip hop is naturally, so it's anti like machine. Like it's kind of like that's why Rage Against the Machine works. It's so like anti-corporation, anti-machine, anti-everything that people want to like that I think people resonate with that. And I think that hip hop is naturally that, and at its core in a lot of ways it's speaking out against oppression and speaking out against
Tupac was good about it. I forgot to mention Tupac. He rapped for real things.
He's a great example of that. Exactly. Yeah, where a lot of his music is political in this sense, but he's so soulful about it. That's what comes through. Yeah.
The white boy thing always cracks me up because it's like you could have Italian pride, German pride, German pride maybe, Irish pride, Scottish, English, French, whatever. Those are all forms of white. But if you're walking around being like, why can't I say white pride? It's like, dude, you know why. There's a fucking history there of the people who said that usually did a bunch of horrible shit afterwards. So this Tom MacDonald guy sounds like just another, I don't know, I hate there's people, there's enough real problems in the world that there's people who are manufacturing problems, and this is one of those people. One of these people who are just like, these whole crop of these male loneliness. I'm like, it used to be if you were some dude who couldn't get laid, you came up with a skill. You found a way to be interesting, but now if you're some dude who's a joke, they can't get laid, all you do is talk to other guys like you. You form a group and you blame everyone else but yourselves.
Yeah.
It's these women. It's feminism. That's why they won't touch my dick. We need to go back to the 1950s where women were forced to touch guys like mine's dicks. It's not like
in the podcast world. Like there's have you ever seen Fresh and Fit? You ever see those guys? There's a lot of this like masculine like anti-woke, anti-everything mentality that's taken over a lot of these places where it's like guys giving guys advice, like women only want you if you have so much money and if you work out, and it's basically the Andrew Tate-ification of the podcast world. It's like Andrew Tate kind of started all of it. I feel like he really mainstreamified it, and then it just kind of trickles down from him. Maybe I'm wrong and it started before that.
I think you're right on that.
Andrew Tate's a fun example of like a guy who's entertaining on the face of it. He knows what he's doing, but like it's so clearly some type of act. There's no way that this is exactly who this guy is. Yeah. I just don't believe that.
And they're preying on, the age demographic of boys who aren't getting dates, so they got money for those dudes' Patreons.
Exactly.
Who are just telling them the shit they want to hear. It's not your fault.
It's not you. It's you. Well, if it is you, you need to be an alpha, but don't worry, it's also the women. Yeah. Because there is that's the thing is like they do. What always interests me about Andrew Tate, I haven't followed him so much in the last year or two, is he's always like, he's the type of guy, he's smart. Like he finds a way to say something ridiculous and then justify it and also make it sound like he's like giving you prolific advice at the same time. Like he's sharing wisdom with you. He has a way of speaking that would fool a lot of people into falling for such a thing. Because it sounds like, it's like if you were like speaking lawyer talk and I don't know what you're saying exactly. Like it's almost a hypnosis, I feel like he's conducting with, and if it's kids, if it's like young people who do need that leadership, of course, in ways it's actually good. There's some aspects of it where it's good that they can take advantage of themselves and find a role model, but just probably not the guy who's that guy. It's probably not that guy. The problem is that they need role models. The problem is you have so many kids who are lost, and it's like that mental health thing. It all goes back to that. There's really so many people who are just lost and have nowhere to look, and they don't know who to trust. And we're in a world that's like trust is at an all-time low. And so like when you have kids, I can't even imagine being a kid right now. Like,
my God. And I get it. Like the anti-Andrew Tate people have not done a very good job of explaining a better alternative to these kids.
Right.
Because if you're just some kid who grew up very poor, just use the word poor, I guess, or limited means, and you are then being told the world was made for straight white guys, so now we got to balance it the other way. You're thinking, well, I didn't fucking benefit from any of this shit.
Yeah.
I'm 16 now. What's going on? Everyone tells me I'm the bad guy, but I don't get why. There should have been something. There should have been more anticipation for pushback, and now you are just. If you really care about mental health, you will actually take these people seriously, though, because why are they have to? The Andrew Tate's spewing bullshit, but they can't see that. So do you just write them off, or do you try to help them?
Yeah,
I would be under the school of we should try to help them.
Yeah, if you really care about them, yeah. How much more time do you have?
I got a couple more minutes.
I feel
bad because I was late, man.
Oh no, you're all good, dude.
I got to go record another podcast, so I apologize with that. I got about 5 more minutes, if that's cool with you.
Perfect.
Sorry, dude.
Well, let me think of how to wrap up what we just talked about. Because, with kids and all that, I feel like for anything in the world, it's like I feel like the way our culture is built, it's like a punishment over rehabilitation mentality with everything. That's how we're trained to think. We're trained to think like if you do something wrong, it's you are bad and you need to be punished until you do something better. And like rarely ever is that actually the path towards someone getting better. It's like what they say about therapy. If you want to go to therapy, you have to want to go.
Yes.
You have to want it. And like that's what rehabilitation truly is. If you want to go to rehab, you have to go. You can't just go to rehab because they forced you to go. It will never work that way. And that's what prison is. It's them forcing you to go to prison, and it's crazy that you send drug addicts to prison. That's crazy. But everything is this way. It's built this way. And what were we talking about right before that? I was tying it all together.
Oh no, yeah, damn it, sorry, man. About helping these people,
because the Andrew Tate. That's the magic words I need. It was Andrew Tate. Yeah, but like with those people, it's just like so. It's such a tough thing because I think now you're seeing this. It's like I think it kind of explains what we're seeing with Kanye West right now. We're seeing Kanye West go into this arc where he's going to say the exact thing that society can't let you say. And all these people who do feel like, oh, well, I'm getting targeted by society and society's coming at me. I'm just going to say the most offensive thing. They resonate with the type of thing he's doing. And I think like it's a weird direction to be going when you have all these people who are trying to now, it's like the scales have been tipped. Now people are trying to be offensive and push things too far and to be funny. And I think like I don't use Twitter too much. I think Twitter's a lot more of this. Yeah. I think it's like the 4chan mentality slowly coming into the real world is kind of what we're seeing, I feel like.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is, man. It's creepy.
It's weird. We're in a weird place in history is what I'm saying. It's I couldn't tell you how it's going to go.
Yeah.
By the time this podcast comes out, the AI already took over the robots in my apartment.
Pretty much. Walking your dog, petting your cat for you. Yeah, man, it's a fucked up thing to think about because sometimes I think, shit, I was born in the wrong era. I'm not cut out for this new shit.
Funny to hear you say that because you're older than me, and I felt that way about myself. I'm like, damn, like if I was just alive 20 years before, if I was the same guy, but 20 years ago, I think I could have done this a lot better.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I've always been an old soul, though,
Maybe that's it. Maybe we're old souls. I like to think that about myself, and then I think that's my ego coming out. Like I'm either an old soul or I just really like to think highly of myself.
Nothing wrong with that as long as you use it well and treat people nicely.
It's good to be an old soul. Yeah. And maybe that's the message, because usually at the very end, I tell the guests, I say, let's give us a message for the kids. They're going to send something home. The kids, they're riding this on the bus on the way to school. They're riding the bus on the way to school, and they're listening to our voices. And so we have to give them advice. We have to give them wisdom. And what do we say? And so I leave it to the guests to give them some wisdom. You have wisdom. I know it's in your brain.
I'll throw some wisdom at you guys right now.
Here we go.
Try to live your life with gratitude and try to be forgiving. Ooh. Because you don't know what other people are going through. And think to yourself, when I have a day like that, if I have a rock bottom, I hope people will come to my defense. I hope people will rally around me. You know? So that's my wisdom for everyone.
Also, Rock Bottom by Eminem. That's a really good song.
Good tune.
That's one of my favorite Eminem songs.
That's a good song. Yeah, I like that one.
And that's one of his rawest songs, I would say. One of the best examples of that raw mental health Eminem. If you don't go to therapy, just listen to Slim Shady.
There you go.
And last thing, social medias, tell them where they can find you, all your stuff on YouTube, blah, blah,
Sure,
blah.
youtube.com/Joe Kilgallon. It's Kilgallon, K-I-L, gallon, like gallon of milk. I'm also at Joe Kilgallon on Instagram, TikTok, Joe Kilgallon Comedy. My website, joekilgallon.com. I put my tour dates up there, so you guys can check that out. Appreciate it.
Sweet. And with all that being said, appreciate everybody, appreciate Margot, appreciate Oscar, appreciate Jesus Christ himself. Rules Radio. Clocking out.
Double down, competition couldn't help him to rock. Missed the whole time, holy fell through the flock. That's an ordinary miracle, wealth to the block. It's a balance in the character that's calm and collect. It's apparent his caricature is lost in the